After the Civil War, April 1861 through May 1865, slavery became a misconception in the southern parts of the United States, indicating that African Americans can officially become citizens of America, showed the new beginning of a revolution era in which blacks can now be free. The Emancipation Proclamation issued by Abraham Lincoln in January of 1863 was viewed as a change in social status of blacks in the South from being slaves to being free. Geographically, blacks migrated from Arkansas, Kentucky, Missouri, Tennessee, and Louisiana to Illinois. Slaves wanted to migrate far north as possible, and with Illinois being declared a free state since 1818, it was an attractive area for blacks to settle. Slaves usually had intentions to escape and travel at night by using offset roads, old train routes, tunnels, and shorelines for a successful trip to northern states. The Underground Railroad in Illinois usually favored settlers' neighboring state. Many runaway slaves settled in Illinois by following the shorelines of the Mississippi River. Princeton, Iowa, Quincy, Jacksonville, and Oakland, Illinois were all safe settlement areas where blacks had a chance to live for a while. Traveling more north in Illinois was the plan to places like West Chicago, Lombard, Naperville, and DeKalb, with runaway slaves taking trips to unfamiliar places. Owen Lovejoy, also known as one of the influential abolitionists and members of the House of Reps in the state of Illinois, being well known for his role in Princeton, Illinois, for being a conductor of the Underground Railroad, Lovejoy took the major role in supporting and becoming the leader of the abolitionists in Illinois. The death of his brother, Elijah Lovejoy, caused by pro-slavery forces, made Lovejoy strive for protection and gain African American rights and freedom as a whole.
This marks the beginning of the violence that would rip our nation apart. The Reverend Elijah Lovejoy used his press and pulpit very well in his crusade against slavery. So well, in fact, that he was driven out of the pro-slavery state of Missouri across the river into Illinois, and 3 of his presses were destroyed. He was determined not to let it happen again. On November 7, 1837, a mob assailed his print shop. During the confrontation, Lovejoy was shot 5 times, and his last press was sunk in the Mississippi River. Protest meetings flared up in the North. Emotion spilled into the open. Lovejoy's brother, kneeling at the body, swore to continue the fight, and he did. Years later, as congressman, Owen Lovejoy was chosen to submit the Emancipation Proclamation to President Lincoln for his signature. Due to fears of grave robbery, Lovejoy's body was hidden until this memorial was built 32 years after the Civil War. Today, his quiet demeanor stands in stark contrast to the violence and explosive anger in which it was born.
John Hossack was an elderly man which migrated to the United States from Elgin, United Kingdom. After his migration, he settled in Cook County, in which he noticed the oppression of African Americans. He opened up his prairie farm known as Hossack Grove. Hosack Grove soon became a refuge for runaway slaves. Hosack soon moved to Iowa, Illinois, where he deepened his connection with the anti-slavery and the Underground Railroad. By contributing, Hosack opened up his home to runaway slaves, which he was to maintain 13 runaway slaves after the success of maintaining the operation of the Underground Railroad. Hosack served time of 1 year in prison with a $100 fine for disruptors of fugitive slave laws. Dr. Richard L's house. With his own creation of the home, Dr. L's built his home only 4 blocks away from Mississippi River, which was one of the secretive routes for runaway slaves to migrate. His house was the first Underground Railroad station closest to Missouri borders. L was arrested and fined $400 for hiding slaves and breaking Illinois criminal codes. Later, Dr. L's became president of the Illinois Anti-Slavery Party and joined systems with John Hosack. Becker Hall was the original building of Illinois College. Becker Hall was started by abolitionist Edward Becker, in which he made the college have close ties with the freedom movements and the Underground Railroad stations. The classrooms and dorm rooms provided safe places to strategize, assistance for runaway slaves, and they came up with ideas about safety throughout Jacksonville. The college became a place for support of runaway slaves. Dr. Hiram Rutherford expanded the luxury of his home in 1847 as a place for slaves to settle for a short to medium period of time. He opened his home to a black family from Kentucky, in which they worked on a plantation nearby before their migration. The black family came to Illinois by their slave owner and worked on a plantation that was not too far away from the Rutherford residence. Rutherford helped the family run away from the plantation after discovering what was going on. He took matters in his own hands. Him and his wife soon became the abolitionists, in which they linked with other Illinois freedom goals. By Chicago being the middle state of Illinois, it was a driving force for slaves. Being goaded by free land opportunities, Chicago saw as a place for freedom could be best. The popularity raised in the mid-1800s as the state became exposed to very strong abolitionist views. The views demanded that everyone should be equal and free no matter what color, social class, and location they lived in. Being heavily influenced by abolitionists, pro-slavery supporters protests, which Southern Illinois was able to maintain slave by law. Chicago became a city of mixed reactions. The abolitionists outweighed the pro-slavery supporters due to many speeches and riots. Shortly after, Chicago became an even stronger abolitionist center, which became a driving force for diverse and mixed cultures.